Welcome to Sunday Science, where we dive into a few recent scientific articles and their translation into our modern lives. Here is your host, Brent W. Laartz, MD.
All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sunday Science, where we discuss the most recent science in longevity space. And we're going to be talking today about something called Clotho. It is a gene product which were discovered in 1997. It was named after the Greek god of fate and destiny, Clotho, which was actually spelled with a C. But this gene product are spelled with a K, Klotho. Some of this was discovered using knockout mice, and these mice had accelerated aging, which was marked compared to any other compound that they found. So it was very fortuitous to find this. When it was upregulated, this gene product, increasing the secretory form of Clotho. There are three forms: alpha, beta, and gamma. The secretory form, which is alpha Clotho, these mice had a 15 to 30% longer life and improved cardiovascular, renal, and brain health. There were lower rates of cognitive decline, and there are also now some studies in humans, mainly based on levels and historical cohorts. This compound potentially reduces oxidative stress. It attenuates insulin and insulin growth factor. If it is low, it was found that there is a 30% higher risk of dying within 5 years compared to normal range or a high range. And this risk of dying was associated with a higher mortality if you had low physical activity. So, however, it might not be so simple because there were some discordant results. Some people had some diverse findings with this. And so this newest study here, which was the article we're including in the notes, higher circulating alpha Clotho levels increase all-cause mortality through mediation effects of liver fibrosis. This is a second analysis of the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, so NHANES. This is from some Chinese authors, Qi Chen, and this was published in the Journals of Gerontology in 2025, Series A, Biological Sciences and Medical Sciences. And so what they did in this study was they looked at the mortality and the all-cause mortality, and as if you were looking at a normal set of data, as what other people had found, they found that there was an all-cause mortality risk with lower levels compared to higher levels. And so that all-cause mortality, one could say, hey, wow, this is great news. This is associated with lower mortality when you have a higher level compared to a lower level. However, it's not that simple. And this seems to be a U-shaped hormesis, because what they did is they then compared the 5 different quintiles of patients to see, compared to the middle quintile, the third quintile, obviously, and lo and behold, what they found was that the 5th quintile, the highest quintile, was actually also associated with a higher mortality compared to the 3rd, which actually also was a lower mortality compared to the 1st quintile. So I'll show you this data here, and let's see here. We're going to share. This data with you. All right, so you can see here that the highest quintile You can see that there's a U-shaped curve here in the data. With a higher level, also increased mortality. A mid-level, which was basically what we're now showing as potentially a normal level, is that mid-level, and then a lower level also associated with higher mortality. And then they teased the data out and they said, hey, now let's find out with these people that have a higher mortality at higher levels, what does that correlate with? And they found that, and here is one particular, the fibrosis score, a liver fibrosis score. You can see here that at lower levels, there's lower fibrosis, and at that highest quintile, there is an association with a higher level of mortality and of fibrosis. And that's just one score. And another score, the APRI score, the platelet and AST level score, you can see again there's an increased level. And then this score, keep skipping by it, the NFS score. And here's the other one, the FIB4 score. Again, you can see here where there is a higher level of mortality at a higher level, or sorry, not a higher level of mortality, a higher fibrosis 4 score with the higher level of Clotho. Okay, so again, so hey, this is some very interesting data showing that it may not be as simple as what some people are telling you, that it is not just the higher level associated with decreased mortality, but it is a mid-level, a normal level, and if you have an excess amount, it might be associated with an increased mortality, and that increased mortality might be at least partially caused by an increased amount of liver fibrosis. So again, you've heard a lot of people talking about this, and we had some lectures here at the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine who were touting Clotho. There are multiple companies touting either the use of Clotho on skin, also maybe some newer companies touting the use of Clotho, either sublingual or some sort of intramuscular or subcutaneous or even intravenous forms. But I'm here to tell you that it is not as simple as it might seem, and we need further research to find this out in mice and in humans. So again, very interesting studies here, and we're going to continue to find out in the next year. There are multiple studies we're going to show in our research here. I'll show you multiple articles. There is a dozen articles just from the past year on Clotho. And so I am sure over the next 1 or 2 years, we're going to find out a lot more in the future. Again, thank you for attending here at Sunday Science on Go Unpro, the podcast on longevity and science for microbiome, for longevity, for advancing the interests of living into our 90s and 100s in a healthy way. Again, we'll see you next week, next Sunday. Appreciate your visiting us. Again, follow us on goonpro.com, caribeid.com. There are ways to follow us on YouTube, all of our social media, on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and everywhere else you find your podcasts, on Spotify podcasts, Apple podcasts. It is on YouTube Music for podcasts. It is everywhere you can find them. Thank you very much for attending. Talk to you soon.
This site and any information communicated within it are not intended as medical advice. The information herein is not intended as medical care, diagnosis, or treatment of any medical condition. No component of this content, including discussion or comments, shall be construed or implied as establishing a doctor-patient relationship. Before you translate or copy any of the information, diet, exercise, or products utilized herein or on any social media post to your own practice, consult your own research, physician, therapist, or nutritionist for your own health. No warranties or claims are made as to the benefits or risks of any treatments, diet, exercise, or products herein. Research any treatments, diet, exercise, or products thoroughly before trying for yourself. Referral, affiliate, or advertising fees may be garnered by this site.